In 2018, I quit my job. My workplace at the time had a Me Too problem. I was angry. I was fed up. Did I act kind of hastily? Well, yes. And it felt utterly exhilarating. Also, totally terrifying. In the days and weeks afterwards, I could barely catch my breath. Like I was swimming in the middle of a cold lake and I suddenly realized that it was too far to turn back, but I wasn't sure I had the strength to keep moving forward. Who was I going to be now? And how was I going to make sure that I didn't find myself in a similar situation in my next job? Over the past few years, a lot of people have gotten fed up with the way they work for a whole host of reasons. Climate change, racism, the wage gap, the pandemic, you name it, they have made us see the world differently. Our psyches and the planet feel maxed out. More of us want to find ways to align our work with our values. And for some of us, those values have changed. Maybe you just graduated from college, or you're retiring, or maybe you're ready to switch careers, or build your own company, or you just want to work less. Reimagining how you exist in the world is a scary prospect. How do you get to the other side of your proverbial lake? Where to begin? When I quit my job, I plunged immediately into a new, extremely intense and exciting project. But when COVID happened 2 years later, my business partner and I had to end our relationship. Our company wasn't resilient enough to make it through the strain financially or emotionally. And looking back on that moment and so many other career crossroads, I wish I had known about the ideas of a man named William Bridges. William Bridges was a philosophy professor in the 60s. He spent years researching why some companies manage major transitions without missing a beat, and others fall completely apart. And when I say transitions, I mean like a merger or pivoting to a different business model or bringing in a new CEO. These are really vulnerable moments for organizations and for their employees. And Bridges found that the best leaders, the ones who kept drama to a minimum and got their employees through the stress most smoothly, they did something very important. They did not too much. They let folks be. They gave themselves and their staff time to process the period that was ending before implementing big changes. Bridges called this period, this liminal space, the neutral zone. And he believed that it was crucial for keeping a big change from turning into a big crisis, both for companies and for individuals. And I think it definitely applies to this period in our lives when so many of us want to change the way we work and live. I love how Bridges describes the neutral zone. He says this is the time between the old reality and sense of identity and the new one. People are creating new processes and learning what their new roles will be. They're in flux, and they may feel confusion and distress. Okay, so confusion and distress are normal. Not only that, they're necessary. I think so often we want to rush away from what isn't working and just begin anew already. But before we take the first job offer we get, or move across the country, or take out a big loan to start a company, or even consider what we want to do next, we need to make peace with the old chapter that's ending and kind of sit dormant for a bit. Everyone is different. But the neutral zone may mean deciding to say no to new opportunities, telling yourself that that tight feeling in your stomach is to be expected, coaching yourself to stick to a routine that includes healthy food, good sleep, and some exercise. The neutral zone is a period of lower expectations, or as my mom used to say, good enough. Now, I can understand why for some of you, being in the neutral zone sounds like a nicer phrase for spinning your wheels. Please trust the process and consider that maybe this fear of being stuck in a rut is our pre-pandemic values talking. A decade ago, Bridges wrote that Americans feel the same way about change as they do about crossing the street, that it is dangerous to do it slowly. But what if you race across the street and you get to the other side safely, only to realize that you raced across the wrong street? Okay, I'm mixing a lot of metaphors here, but I think Bridges' point is that if we skip the neutral zone, we run the risk of repeating and possibly regretting where we end up. So please, give yourself permission to not know what's going to happen next. If it's helpful, think of this course as your neutral zone, your place to sit with all the ideas, yes, emotions, that are going to come up as we move through the course.